The climate worrywarts in the federal government, well, they aren't practicing what they preach. I know you're thinking, Sheila, that's not news. It's not, but I can show you the cars, or rather the SUVs, the taxpayers are paying for Trudeau's ministers and deputy ministers to drive around, all while they scold you and tax you and punish you for your vehicle choices. Inflation just hit nearly 6%. The price of gas is well over $2 per liter in Vancouver. Heck, it's over $1.60 per liter here in Alberta, and we make the gas here. And yet, the Liberals' solution to all of this is to chase more of the same bad ideas that got us into this mess in the first place. The Liberals are raising the carbon tax again on April 1st, like some sort of sick joke, except it's real, which will only add to the cost of literally everything all the way down the supply chain of life and of being alive and remaining alive here in Canada. And yet, here's Trudeau's industry ministers saying that the solution is simple on CBC's Power in Politics. When you cannot afford to fill up your car, you can afford to spend $40,000 on a car that you can hardly use in Canadian winters. Look at this.
I think what we need to do as a nation is gradually to reduce our dependence on, what we're seeing in terms of fossil fuel, so that we don't have these kind of impacts on the price. I think the more electric cars we'll see on the road, the better. I think that's what we want to do as a government, is to accelerate what we've done. The announcement we've made is putting Canada in the economy of the 21st century, a greener economy. And I think that's one way to make sure that over time, we are less dependent on these global fluctuations.
Yes, my friends, math is hard, as they say, especially when you don't have to worry about math at all, because the taxpayers, well, we're picking up the bill for the vehicle choices of the ministers like Francois-Philippe Champagne right there. But do the Liberals practice what they preach? Do they live smaller and more frugally? Do they drive greener because of the cost of fuel? Of course they don't. And we know that from an order paper response to a question posed by the Conservative MP for Niagara, Tony Baldinelli, who has been asking some great questions on the order paper in recent days. Baldinelli wanted to know the size of the ministerial fleet, so the cars the taxpayer buys and then pays for the maintenance and fuel of for the ministers to drive, but not only for cabinet ministers, but also for their assistant ministers as well. And the response from the government confirms my preconceived biases about the Liberals regarding rules for thee and not for me, as my friend David Menzies loves to say. Look at this. As of November 29th, the fleet was composed of 29 vehicles for ministers and 46 vehicles for deputy ministers, agency heads, and or presidents, for a total of 75 vehicles. The total cost of procuring the fleet was $2,926,952.26, plus, of course, applicable taxes, nearly $3 million per year. The list of ministerial vehicles is on page 5 of these documents and includes several Ford Explorers and an entourage of Toyota Highlanders. Actually, let's take a quick look, shall we? Almost everything here is an SUV. Fewer than 10 are sedans or cars. There's one minivan. The fleet is actually pretty practical, except for the fact that these people want you to drive egg-shaped electric emasculations for a car, regardless of your job or lifestyle. But when given the choice, when cost was no real object, even they didn't choose a car like that. There was a Subaru Legacy, a Toyota Camry, a Chevy Malibu, a Chrysler 300, but that was all-wheel drive, and there was a Kia Niro. Based on my research, and I will include the documents here, but just one ministerial car was electric. Some poor soul received a taxpayer-funded Chevy Volt. Hopefully they have a fire extinguisher on board. It's kind of nice to know the Liberals admit through their own behaviors that gas SUVs are the convenient and safe choice. Too bad they want to keep that choice from the rest of us. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid. If you'd like to support our independent investigative journalism through access to information and other investigative tools, please consider making a donation to our special fund at rebelinvestigates.com. Rebel News receives no support from the government, and we wouldn't take it anyway. We rely on the support of viewers like you at home to tell the stories that nobody else will.